All right, so I've got a syllabus. Some of it repeats some of the things I'd mentioned in the kickoff video. So I'll just focus the specific part of this video on our sprint schedule for the class. So as I mentioned, each sprint is 2 weeks long. There's a few 1-week sprints to accommodate your fall break as well as finals. And I will show you where that is. So in this table, you'll see the start dates of each of the sprints. So classes, the beginning of our class week is always Monday. Your assignments are always due Sunday nights, Sunday midnight Mountain Time. But the next sprint always officially starts on a Monday, and it's going to be every other Monday. So these dates should line up with the Mondays of 2026. I made sure of it, but I'll look at it again just in case. So every sprint, as I mentioned, has its own theme, and here I list out the themes. And again, to reiterate, the goal of the class is to walk you through an end-to-end design and research process to create an original mobile app design. So we'll go through brainstorming, understanding AI, being able to familiarize yourself with the design tools that we'll be using in the class, and then to go through the research and design and prototyping and stuff like that. We end the project with presentations, so you'll be recording demo videos of your product walkthroughs as well as presenting your design process. And then it ends with your finals, of which there are a couple different parts that comprise your finals. One of them will be publishing your project to a case study on your website and then uploading it to LinkedIn. So that is part of the sprint cycle. In this table, I also include all the learning objectives for each of these sprints as well. So I'm not going to go through and read every single word. Of course, you can do the reading, but I really wanted to give you a sense of how we were going to pace the project throughout the class. So in this class, you're going to work on that mobile app design, of which I have a design brief that I link to as well. That'll be included as part of the reading for this sprint. And your objective is to focus on one product that you will be designing for the entire semester. So each of these themes apply to a single project. So you're not creating 8 different projects. It is one project, but there's multiple deliverables that you will finish as part of the end-to-end design process. The first 4 weeks of class is really just getting you back up to speed in terms of you're back in school again, because sometimes it's an adjustment coming off of summer break, to the fall semester. So part of it's just situating yourself back into class. I recognize that some students need to collect materials for the class. In this class, there is one book that I'm requiring. We'll get to that here in a minute. And based on how you buy it, it might take a week to get to. So I want to give enough breathing room and buffer in that first month of class that you can ease into the materials and start really learning the software. So the first sprint, as I mentioned before, really just ideating, getting back into the swing of things for class, thinking about how to use AI throughout your design project. There's another assignment that you'll work on, which I'll go through in the campus walkthrough. For the next sprint 2, you will be solely focused on software and learning Figma. And I've approached this a few different ways. Last year, I found it really successful to have students kind of learn the basics of the tools up front before they go off and start designing the app. Previously, it was just kind of you open up the program Figma, and you kind of learn it as you go. In this case, I found students were a lot more successful just getting some of that foundational work done first. So in sprint 2, which is the Monday of August 31st and September 7th, you're going to spend your time going through a suite of Figma tutorials that are published by Figma, their company. So you'll also be using the educational license for Figma, which is completely free. You'll just need to sign up with your school email address and add yourself to the class, which I will provide instructions on how to do. From there, Sprint 3 focuses on some design research and putting together your proposal. So this is great practice for thesis and some of the other project, design classes you also have. From there, we're going to move into content design and UX structure. So what is the stuff that goes onto your pages? How do you structure the information architecture and the layouts of your app so that it feels cohesive and it's compliant to the platform that you're designing for? So whether that's Google Material, Apple iOS, or Microsoft Fluent, you will rely on the design patterns that's been supplied by those platforms. You'll personalize it or customize it for your product and your look and feel. And then you will use that to start building out your design screens. That module then kind of bleeds into Sprint 5, which is the user interface design. So that's really adding more layers of polish and interaction and transitions in your product. We'll then move into prototyping, and these sprints starts bleeding into one across the other, especially because you're doing the tool literacy sprint up front. You'll likely start prototyping even earlier than Sprint 6, but I do want to have that block available so that you can focus on just that. And you'll be prototyping again using Figma. You can use the same program to do the design as well as the prototyping. And you're going to prototype it so that you can put it on your phone and that I can actually use it and grade you. And that way you can kind of see your product design in motion. It's just not a series of flat screens or it's not like a PowerPoint presentation where you click through different areas. You'll actually get to create something that you can use and show off and record for your case study. From there, we will then move into design iteration and validation. So what that means is you will get some feedback from other people, not just myself, on your product design, and you will do something with that feedback. So you're essentially going to improve the design of your product based on the feedback that you get. And that's, expected kind of throughout the process as well. With discussions, I try to layer in small group critiques so that you can get feedback from your peers and improve as you go. But we will have a very specific section where it is a concerted effort to get that feedback from users and to make those updates and to show before and after designs, which is very important when it comes to presenting your work when going in for interviews. After that, you will be completely fluent in your product design end to end, and you will work on presenting your work. So that's not just verbally presenting it, but also visually putting together a slide presentation, as well as recording a narrated walkthrough of your app. So you're going to have the visual of your prototype in your phone on one side of the screen, you'll have your face on the other, and then you'll talk through what's happening on the screen as you click through it. And then from there, you'll publish a case study for your website and then load up to your LinkedIn. And more details about that, when the finals sprint comes up. All right, required materials. So again, as I mentioned, most of these are free with exception of the class book. So the class book is AI Snake Oil. I hope that's clear or not fuzzy. So with AI Snake Oil, it is a book that walks through the strengths and the weaknesses of generative AI. It is not specific to design, but it is specific to just the world that we kind of live and operate in, as well as the way that these technologies work. And I think it becomes very obvious how it applies to your design work and just your professional career and your academic career as you read through this. So this will be our book. The first chapter of it is free on their website, so I will link to that as well as part of the first sprint's reading. The other like software that you'll need, Figma, the educational license is free, so I'll give you instructions on that. You'll set up your class website, your like portfolio website on WordPress. If you have another one, like another platform like Wix or Squarespace, you're welcome to use that as well. However, with WordPress, it is free. Like the free plan gets you where you need to go with this class. You can certainly pay if you want to. I think the lowest tier is $4 a month, so it's not too bad. But I really like WordPress for class because it's responsive right out of the box, meaning like you can scale it up and down and it works on your phone without a lot of extra customizations. Whereas these other tools like Squarespace and Wix just require a lot of manual setup. For your product recordings and your videos, you'll use open broadcasting software or any other like video or recording tool that you have. I recommend open broadcasting software because it's free and it's also available for both Mac and Windows, but you can use whichever one you have at your at disposal. You should also have access to Adobe Creative Cloud through the school, like through CAM. I don't explicitly assign stuff from Creative Cloud for you to use in this class, and you should be able to use Figma for most of what you need, but some students want to pull in like custom illustrations or do some of their initial explorations in other tools, so I won't say no to that, but your primary deliverable will be in Figma. There may be other things that come up from time to time. Sometimes, like, new software launches all the time, and I really like making sure that students get a breadth of, a breadth of exposure to just the tools and the technology. So every once in a while, like if we find something that comes, and takes the industry by storm, I'll, have us like switch and kind of learn that for a little bit before we go back. And as I mentioned in my AI policy, I absolutely support using it to help it with exploring content, accelerating your design work, and learning in general. So you can use ChatGPT, Claude, Google Gemini. Figma Make is a generative AI within Figma for design. There's also Google Stitch, which I've used from time to time, which is also like Gen AI for interface design. And I'll leave those decisions up to you unless I like specifically say to use something. But if you find a tool that is helpful, that has good sources and is like accurate for what you need, feel free to use it. In my professional work, I use mostly Claude for my design work and to create wireframes and like really simple designs to kind of stress test ideas. I've used Google Stitch to help me with like when I need to put together a design system or I'm trying to kind of fiddle with the look and feel of a color palette. I find that Google Stitch can do that okay. And you can export something to Figma, so then like you can paste it into your design file and start like using it as a design system. So I found that helpful. With ChatGPT, I've used that also from time to time. I don't use it as much anymore since I switched to Claude, but it can kind of do the same thing. Gemini, also is a good one. I use each of these programs for different things, but I believe CU Denver has made ChatGPT EDU available for students. So if it's not the fall semester, then it'll definitely be the spring one. But faculty members now have access to EDU. So I haven't used it for anything here. Like, again, I mostly use Claude. So books and reading, mostly this is typically this should be the only thing I'm asking you to buy. Everything else is free, and I will provide links to those as you need them. They're also available here, of course. And the technology requirements, you should probably already be familiar with that, so I won't go over it. And I think that is it in terms of like the specific differences in what I provided in my last video with this one. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video, and then I'm going to pick back up to walk you through Canvas and how to navigate the class.